council was involved, but having members of a council that have the background is critical, I think, if should that ever come again. We hope it's not, but it's something that we have to be aware of. And having folks with your background would be a big asset in that respect. So, Bruce, what are your thoughts? You can speak. We have a business right here in Groton, a local one, which we all got to visit when Bruce had an event there. It's called Fields of Fire, and they have this amazing expansion that they've just done with some seed money, from what I understand, through economic development. And we have this wonderful little asset and jewel right here in Groton that many people might not know about, but those are the types of things. I know you've been there. You have a great relationship with that business owner.
Yeah, he did it on his own with a little bit of help, a little bit of seed money, but created this aerial adventure park. And one of the things that I know the town is looking at is that we have the aerial adventure park. We have the Mystic Tennis, and it's going to be indoor soccer. It's being built over right near Old Mystic, but in Groton. There's an indoor volleyball court, the Sandbox, I believe, that's being built. There is also a fitness center that's being built, and we're really going to, hopefully we're going to become and be able to market this area as a family, outdoor adventure, like
sporting adventure
central, and that like the Mystic indoor sports they'll have tournaments there, indoor soccer tournaments. The Fields of Fire bring in paintball as well, and they do the aerial adventure, and that's bringing in more and more people.
I think, is it correct that Fields of Fire has the largest zip line in Connecticut?
The fastest zip line in Connecticut. And
I didn't know that until I went to an event there.
And what's going to end up happening is that people are going to come, coupled with the seaport and the aquarium and the casinos and the beaches, and they're going to stay here, and they're going to stay at our hotels, and they're going to spend money at our restaurants, and it creates opportunity. And if somehow we can help or encourage the city on Thames Street, which is part of Groton, to get that cooking, you're looking at a place that it's just going to be. People are going to want to come. The water taxi to connect New London. I mean, it's all a big, intricate plan that really could change the face of Groton.
Of southeastern Connecticut. And we are the number one tourist destination in Connecticut, by the way. And as we know, we have seen an uptake in the visitors at the aquarium and the seaport. Unfortunately, not from Connecticut, but we don't care if they come from Massachusetts or New York to visit us.
Right.
But, and I think helping spur, I know on the council it was very difficult getting the project on downtown Mystic. I mean, I think Governor Rowland was the governor when that burned down. And again, that process was delayed and delayed and delayed, and we needed to have somebody help concierge through it. But there's a lot of opportunity here, and it's great to have some fresh perspectives on things that we could do, because I think we have the same people, and you tend to look at it the same way. So having Greg and Bonnie as new people, and Bruce with the experience, and Jackie with a plethora of experience, even though she's only 30, it's wonderful for our town. And I wanted to speak a little bit, if we could, about your thoughts on schools and how they affect the real estate market. And I'm asking this because my husband's a physician. They bring in all these new doctors, and everybody wants to live in East Lyme because of the schools. I don't think the schools in East Lyme are any better than they are here in Groton, but it's a marketing issue. So can you speak to that as a realtor?
I can't, because it's against our code of ethics.
Oh, okay. Can you speak to
and
that?
And I am very honest.
Okay.
I cannot. We're not allowed to.
Do you have people asking about the schools?
Yes, and you have to direct them to the school sites, because you're not supposed to steer or put anybody to what you think is
But that's
a better
the number
school.
one question, and how are the schools? People want to live in a community where they know the community supports the schools, they support the children. The schools are providing the students with what they need in the future. And I think that's important to keep in mind here in Groton. There's a lot of buzz about the schools, this and that. And I think we have to realize if we have good schools, and if we have a marketing campaign and leadership that is excited about our schools and talks highly of the schools rather than negatively, that affects everybody. And it
Right.
affects the value of your home, and it affects other people wanting to come to live here. Can you speak to that, Greg?
Well, just amongst my coworkers, the new folks we're bringing in, I know the schools are very important for folks and where they decide to live. So I know Bonnie can't speak to it directly, but I think it's common knowledge that people are concerned about where their kids are going to be raised. And like you said, you got to be proactive and promote your schools, and so that you get people moving into Groton and grow the tax base. I know doing door-to-doors, we have found people sending their kids to magnet schools outside of our area, which is killing us. I think we're
Yes.
spending
A lot of money.
$2.4 million
A
to
lot of
send
money.
our students out of area to other schools, which is not a good thing.
Right.
I think we should maybe create a magnet school in Groton.
I think that's something that the board is considering right
So-
now. So, and Bruce, your wife's a teacher, so.
She is.
I'm sure you
She
hear.
teaches at Ledyard High School, and we have 5 kids. One just graduated and is off to college, and one who is in first grade. So we run the gamut. We've been very happy with the education that they've received in Groton, but we understand that it doesn't come easily, and there are tough decisions that need to be made. And you try to, myself as a counselor, try to strike a balance between what the Board of Ed asks for and what we think we can give them without disturbing the education that they're getting. And so it is a tough balance. And you're right, I think there's a lot of people who look at Groton and say great education, and there's some who look at it and say, I'm going to go somewhere else. And I think that the current superintendent is working towards, fixing whatever things may be broken. So it is tough. It's tough when you're figuring out. I mean, Jackie, when the budgets come and they're asking for a 1.5%, 2% increase,
Right.
and it's a couple $1 million, and you're caught between trusting what you're being told and hoping that they can find some savings somewhere else. So
Right.
it's tough because there's always people in town who, for lack of better words, they don't trust. And so when the town manager or the superintendent says, I need this, they're like, well, no, I'm going to show you because you don't. And that's good. It's good for keeping people honest and trying to make sure things are going on. But it's quite a balance to strike.
Jackie, do you want to speak to that?
I agree with Bruce that it's a very difficult balance to strike. And I think for a lot of us who are on the council or on the RTM, when we look at the Board of Ed budget, there are so many unfunded mandates, and those are things that we have to do. It doesn't matter whether you have the money or not, you will do them. And we do need to put trust in the superintendent or in the town manager. They're professionals. But as Bruce said, it's very, very difficult to say, do we need 50 smart boards or can we do with 30? And a lot of times that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, that's one of the other things or items I wanted to speak to you about, which is the dreaded unfunded mandate. And that is when the state legislature decides that you shall do this and you have X amount of time to comply with it and you must do it. And we were talking with some Board of Education members last time, and they were saying that the Board of Education has just gotten additional new mandates that they have to do. And I asked for an example, and of course I felt bad because at that time the person was like, well, let me think of one, there's so many. But even a simple thing, and this happened to my daughter, she had a head injury on the playground. And before the nurse would call and say your daughter hit her head, blah, blah, blah. Now there's a special form that has to be filled out. it has to be signed, they have to call, and, you know, it's sent in a letter, and that's just a simple one. And maybe it's for good reason, but all that unfunded mandates cost money. We had one not too long ago with the jails where you cannot put juveniles in an area where there's adults that can't see each other. Now, our police station hasn't been upgraded in years, so that's another huge amount of money that the town is going to have to spend. Luckily now we have 2 great state reps that are helping to stop the unfunded mandates, but for citizens that are watching, that's something that really is beyond all of your control. You have to do it.
Right.
And that's something that you have to look at, okay, how are we going to fund it? So certain things we put in the budget in a capital improvement, you can speak to that versus in the budget itself. And we have, I'll let you talk about capital improvements that we can do. That the police station and unfunded mandates and changes normally have to go in there because they're so expensive.
I mean, there's the capital improvement projects or anything that's it's a multi-year, I think.
You're outside the operating budget.
You're outside the operating budget. And, you know, there's stuff for the schools that even like the flooring and the asbestos tiles that need to be taken out. There's just all kinds of things.
The big one with the school budget, I think, though, is the minimum budget requirement.
Oh, right.
And that's a huge one that I think all citizens should be aware of, and I'm sure I want you to speak to that. That is a state law that says if Groton spends, I'm making up a number now, $75 million on schools, next year you cannot spend any less than $75 million. You have to spend what you spent. That's the minimum budget. So unless you lose a significant population and it's a very small amount that you can reduce, that minimum budget stays in. So that education budget, even if we found these amazing efficiencies, cannot go below what it was the year before.
Well, that, like, you know, to that point, if let's say that in this budget year, the superintendent asks for something that's huge, a $500,000 IT software program that they absolutely need, and we say, okay, you can have it. Well, now we have to spend that $500,000 next year. You
Right.
can't go below it. That's a problem. You know,
it's a huge problem, and that's something that, you know, new councils can lobby with your legislators to try to change. That's been on the items for changing for years. It hasn't done it, but you have to get smart about it. You have to take that $5 million or $500,000 and put it outside in a capital improvement.
Right.
Or the way to do it. So there's a lot of things that citizens watching don't realize, that you can't just go in. We've had citizens say, well, just give the Board of Education 50% of what they have now and make them do. You know, it's illegal.
Right.
So what are your thoughts on how to keep people a balance between services that you provide and taxpayers that are funding this? Do you think we should try to do more events, more meetings where taxpayers can come and talk about some of the things they'd be willing to change the budget? We've tried to do that in the past. We haven't had very many people show up, but it's so important that citizens come and give us their input. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't know what has worked. If you've invited the public and they don't come.
We've had meetings before we've set the budget. Come talk to us. You know, this is going to be a tough budget season. What kind of services do you have to have? What are the ones that you could live without? And unfortunately, no one wants anything to change. They just want it to cost less. So,
Well, I know being a city resident, you know, we have trash service, and I'd be willing to give it up if I saw a significant decrease in my mill rate, but I'm not convinced that they're not just going to spend that money
somewhere
elsewhere.
else.
So I think it's a give and take. The citizen has to be, you know, convinced that, you know, if I give up this service, it's going to make a difference, and what's that payback? So I think the government, you know, the town government, the city government needs to sell that and produce. You know, if we say that we're going to reduce these services so that we can reduce the taxes or provide more funding for the education, then they have to produce, you know, for what they say.
Heather?
Yes, ma'am.
Just to sort of piggyback what you were saying, citizens should know that you have 2 specific times when you can come before the town council and the RTM and speak to the budget. And as Heather said, people don't want to come. Or maybe folks don't understand the process, but come and say, I can do without this. I can do without that. At least it would give the council and the RTM a little bit of guidance as to, okay, we can look at this because folks are saying they can live without it. But we're not mind readers. So either come to citizens petition or come to the public hearings for the budget.
Right, and don't be nervous about it, because we're all just regular citizens and volunteers ourselves.
We all make the same pay.
Yeah,
At
the council.
that's
Really?
it. We all make the same pay, which is 0, just so everyone watching is
Clear.
clear. Everyone who runs for council or is the mayor or is on RTM or the Board of Ed, they're
the
all volunteers. In the town, they're all volunteers and they are not paid. That is not the case in the city. The mayor's paid, and I believe the councilors get a stipend? No, they don't get a
they don't.
stipend. Okay, so just the mayor's paid. So that's different in the city than it is here in the town. But everyone here is just a regular citizen, so come and tell them your thoughts. But I wanted to ask Bonnie and Greg about how important you think it is, because you're both leaders in the military, how important it is for you to have leaders on the council or leaders in the top of the command that are setting the tone, that are positive about where we are, that can help people feel proud of where they live and be excited to be in Groton, that are excited about the schools, and to help encourage people to get involved and to think of Groton as a great place as it used to be. How important is that?
Oh, I think it's very important. If the leaders, the town council and the mayor aren't the advocates for the city and the town and make everyone feel that this is a great place to live, you're not going to attract businesses. You're not going to attract folks to come and buy houses. So I think that's very important for the town council and the mayor to project that friendly, open, and warm atmosphere and try to attract folks to come into the town.
I think it's very, very important. And I think that there should also be a cooperative spirit between everyone who is elected to work together. We're here at a local level. There shouldn't be any issue with doing that, and hopefully get our issues brought to the table and work together to do things that are good for the town.
And Bruce, your thoughts on that?
I love cooperative spirit. That sounds great to me. I think, I think that there is a responsibility for the town council, to really any sitting board, the town, the city council, the RTN, the Board of Education, to serve all the citizens to serve the constituents. And it may mean making decisions that may end up changing things, but we have a responsibility to make sure that the people here, the money is spent well. Everybody's honest, and we're treating it with the utmost respect. And I think people need to look inside themselves and seeing if that's what's actually happening.
And Jackie, your thoughts, and I also want to ask you too, do you have any ideas on how, if we are successful and we have a new council, and how can that new council with these great new leaders that we have here work better or work more closely with the RTM so that we have a better, more productive working relationship?
To answer the second part first, I get a sense sometimes from RTM members that it's kind of an us versus them mentality, and that is not how it should be. Council members are welcome to come to RTM meetings because they are ex officio members. I think they need to take advantage of that. I also think that the counselors who do come, because they are ex officio members, they are allowed to take part in what we call the caucus, to share their ideas and let the RTM know what they're thinking so that we can better make decisions, and the decisions that we make, we're all on the same page.
And that goes to what you're saying about leadership. If we have leadership at the top that is, positive and proactive and team building, I think that will go a long way for the town of Groton.
And the first part, I think just the fact that folks like Bruce and I kind of hang around. It's not like we don't have anything else to do. And the fact that folks like you are willing to run, it shows that we do, number one, care about our community, we care about the people who live here, and we do advocate for you.
Well, thank you. I want to thank all of you for coming. It was great to have you here today, and I'm going to close by letting you each have some time to talk to the citizens who are watching and tell them why they should vote for you this Tuesday, November 3rd, to help make Groton great again. I think we have some amazing candidates, some highly qualified candidates, and I encourage everyone who's watching to please go to our website. You can learn more about each candidate there. And I'm going to start with Jackie.
Thank you. Thank you. I love my town. If there is anything that I can do for any constituent, I am running for RTM in District 2. If you live in District 2, if you have a question, if you have a concern, please pick up the phone and call me. Also, remember when you see your ballot that RTM candidates are on the back. So flip it over in order to vote. Thank you.
Bruce.
Thank you. I would say that, listen, I have a lot of passion for the town. Much like Jackie, I care a great deal about, and I have a lot of pride in Groton. And, I think there's a lot of unfinished business. I also would encourage people to go to bruceflax.com because I blog there about things. And I would encourage any citizen who has a question or might disagree with a view that I have to call, because I'm happy to discuss it and maybe you can turn me on something. So I think I'm 2B, so vote 2B. I'd appreciate your vote. Ask for your vote on November 3rd. Thanks.
Thank you. Bonnie.
Oh, thank you, Heather. I grew up in a family that served in many ways. My father was a member of many committees and clubs, and he was a town councilor and mayor of our town for years and years, and a role model for me. And I've always wanted to run, and finally, after retiring from the Navy, I wanted to take this opportunity to serve the town of Groton. Even though we moved in and out of Groton, our daughter Katie considers Mystic her home, and I'd like to do whatever I could to make this town better. Please vote for me on line 6B on November 3rd, and I hope that I could have your vote.
Thank you. And we're going to close with Greg. Greg?
Thanks, Heather. Even though I've been a long-term resident of Groton City for the past 17 years, I think I could bring the city's perspective to the council, which I think would make the city residents a little happier to have some more representation on the town council. And I'd love to retire in this area. I like the shoreline and enjoy the friendships that I've made since I've been here. And I think a fresh set of eyes might help the town council. And I would ask for your vote on November 3rd, line 3B. Thanks.
Well, thank you everyone who's tuned in to join us this evening or this afternoon, whenever you get a chance to watch this show. And I encourage everyone to come out November 3rd. Please consider all of our candidates. Remember, vote the second line, row B, and we will make Groton great again. Thanks so much and have a great night.